loud with you. And Chris, an absolute blowout for the Steelers. You're not going to see a better defensive performance anywhere in the league than the Steelers gave tonight, right out of the chute, beating the hell out of Phillip Rivers. I mean, look, every team goes through injuries, and there's no doubt Chargers injuries play a big part in this game. Their offensive line is decimated. Mike Pouncey out. But the Steelers defense, look, I said this to you 3 weeks ago. I've said it all week, the past 2 weeks. I think the Steelers defense has gotten really good really fast. I can't hear you, Chris. You went dead on me. So we're coming in here to the fourth quarter. Obviously, Steelers up 24-0. Devlin Hodges with a workmanlike kind of journeyman performance, doing what he's asked to do. And obviously, James Conner's been the offensive star. Running touchdown, receiving two running touchdowns, I guess now. Receiving touchdown, just good all around. The only thing, Chris, right now in a 24-0 game, the only thing to be worried about here is Stephon Tuitt out with a pec injury, where he was ruled out, I think, in that first series, the second series, because Alualu got the tip for Devin Bush to get the interception, and we haven't seen him since. And those pec injuries can be long term.
Those are ones that can end seasons for guys, and the kind that I feel like it's one of those underrated football injuries that when it happens, you hope it's not anything severe, but then I don't know. I get kind of nervous. I don't know about you. My instant reaction when it happened was ugh. And almost anything but that, short of a knee or something that's an obvious, terrible sign.
Yeah, you get your arm opened up, and Dr. Chow was on Twitter talking about it, watching the replay, and said his arm went weak when he's trying to one-arm Phillip Rivers. Those guys, those D linemen, get extended like that, and they're doing everything they can, and it happens. And it's let's hope Tuitt's having by far his best season. But one of the things that's been a problem for him is obviously being injury prone. But I'll tell you, what a game from this defense tonight, man. The whole unit.
How much do you put on the Chargers shooting themselves in the foot?
Well, I mean, shooting themselves in the foot, meaning you suck, sure. I mean, Phillip Rivers is getting killed. I tweeted in the first quarter that, it'd be a miracle if he makes it through this game. These guys can't handle T.J. Watt. They couldn't handle Alvin on the other side. And we've seen how good the D-line's been all year. So I don't know if that's shooting yourself in the foot. It's just better players going against inferior players.
Well, I think what I've seen that I like is the Steelers, more than anything else with their defense, taking advantage of an offensive line that has been really decimated by injury. You know what I mean? I mean, half of what you want to do in the NFL is if the other team is hamstrung, you want to make them pay for it. And I think that's what I've been most impressed by. The Steelers have taken San Diego. They should be in San Diego.
Yeah, that's right.
They've taken the Chargers' misfortune and they've actually capitalized on it. And I think that's been, I guess, my big story. They've taken an offensive line that's been decimated and treated it like one, frankly.
Oh yeah, they've been fantastic. But we've seen this now for a couple of weeks now. I mean, the Ravens don't have the best offensive line in the world. Neither do the Bengals. But, and that's the question. Look, it's the question we constantly ask ourselves. All right, first, let's just get into the strategic decision here. Is this idiotic to put 3 points up on the board so that, maybe you give your kicker confidence after a missed field goal and you don't get shut out? Is it defensible to kick a field goal here?
I don't think so, because you have to – are you going to get – because the Steelers are going to run clock, and they've run it successfully more or less the whole game.
Yep.
And – you've still just made it – you still need 3 touchdowns. So if you go for it there and try to get it, and I know you haven't been having success, you get it, you score a touchdown, you have a chance to go for 2, you can make it a 3-possession game where it ends with you tied. Now it's still a 3-touchdown game, but you have to get them just to tie the game after having wasted one of them right there.
Yeah, the only justification I can give for kicking a field goal there is if you're worried about your kicker's psyche and you want to get him out there before whatever. But yeah, I'm with you. Even though it's 3rd and 14, I'm running another play there. So
it's such a defeatist kind of it's such a mentality, I think, that pervades the NFL of we're going to be risk averse at all costs if we're anything. And I think that's just something that most coaches just still fall into.
My man, Danny got in here right away with an early shot at you. Said, when we couldn't hear you, he said, it's the most sense Chris has made all year.
Oh, man. You know what? I'm waiting for people to line up for tomorrow's show. PM team on the Fan at 2 to tell me how bad the Browns suck. I know, okay? I know. They suck. All right, Baker Mayfield sucks. His receivers suck. I get it. No, trust me, I've said many things already this year that probably don't make sense, but I'll tell you what, I'll say something that does. We've talked about the defense. The defense has been great. I think it's the story, especially, by the way, in light of Mike Tomlin's terrible West Coast record, right? Like, we all know that. Yep. We all know how bad they are. James Conner has looked like the baddest man on the field for the majority of this game. And I think that
he is a tough dude. And to tell you, Benny Snell ran hard when he's gotten the opportunity too. Those guys, they smell it. Neither the line. Look, I've ripped the line for how they played this year, and I think justifiably. But Steelers have been physical, dominated both sides of the line, dominated time of possession, won the turnover battle. Haven't turned it over themselves. He's just done just about everything right. I mean, a penalty here or there, dumb unsportsmanlike conduct penalty by Devin Bush. But this is, you don't watch a lot of the game film either. Usually we talk about burning the game film when you get your ass kicked. You don't need to watch this game film either. No,
I mean, this one's pretty self-explanatory. And one of my favorite phrases is, you don't want to watch this game film too long, get guys smelling their own farts, if you will. I don't think that's a phrase many people use, but I like it. The one thing that's noticeable about this game is they haven't let Duck Hodges throw too many passes of significance. However, I find it interesting that the few times he has been able to throw it more than a couple air yards, he's actually thrown the most risky pass in football, arguably, which is like a true out route. Through the out to Johnson, through the out to Moncrief. Yep, he's thrown a couple of those. I mean, just not like the 15-yard, like the classic NFL, or do you have an NFL arm throw of a true 15-yard deep out where the ball's probably in the air 25 yards, but I mean, or 30 yards, but he's made some high-risk throws when they've actually allowed him to throw the ball down the field. It's been interesting. I mean, look, Mason Rudolph, it's clear to me Mason Rudolph doesn't have a concussion. You don't practice 3 days, or he doesn't have a significant concussion. So, obviously, he's going to be good to go when the Steelers play Miami. Is there any question who the quarterback is? I'd rather see Hodges, but they haven't let him air it out enough to make me think that his first throw of the night, by the way, was awful. Since then, he's been fine. I mean, he had Juju on that play, and he underthrew it by 5 yards. Can I give an unpopular opinion? I know that wasn't the way the ball was supposed to be thrown for the play. You think he was back shouldering it? You think that was intentionally underthrown? No, I don't think so. But I think Smith-Schuster could help I'll invoke the name of Antonio Brown. I think Antonio Brown helps the quarterback there because he sees it short and can stop a little bit better. Juju got one hand on it. I thought that was a catchable ball. It wasn't a good ball, but it was catchable. Yeah, so that's the question is you're going full speed. How quickly does your head get around and where do you pick the ball up in the air? So, I mean, I saw a couple people comment on that. I'm a little hesitant to think running full speed that you're coming back through a guy and making that play. But I think it's a fair point. I mean, realistically, they're going to beat the Dolphins. I mean, they're going to beat the Dolphins at home coming off a bye. And all of a sudden, if you would think if Mason Rudolph is your guy and he's healthy, you would think you absolutely want to get him out there against Miami and get his feet. I mean, are they going to, if not that game, David, if not that Miami game, when are they going to let Mason Rudolph actually air it out a little bit? When are they going to open it up? Duck call by showing him making the duck call. Oh man, that is catnip for a national TV broadcast, isn't it? Do the Steelers lead the league in kitschy, weird stories like this kind of thing? I feel like it is very unique and very germane to the Steelers that it's this guy. Where's the guy who's a baker by trade, then who gets into the football? Or, here's a guy who taught ballet. Celebrating a first down that was short by 3 yards. But, okay. So, listen, look, the Steelers have a bye. Then they have 3 consecutive home games, Chris. They have Miami, Indiana, and the Rams, who all of a sudden, who knows what the Rams are. They have 3 straight home games. They win those 3 home games. They're 5-5. I promise you they're in the playoffs. Now, Indy's a decent team. They're going to beat Miami. Indy's a decent team. Who knows what the Rams will look like when they come here? But I'm telling you, if they're 5-5 going into they'd be 5-4 coming out of that stretch, would they not? Or am I counting wrong?
Yeah,
2-4.
Sorry, 5-4. Right. If they're 5-4, I guarantee you. I know what I was going to say. I'll say they split with Cleveland, so 6-5. So 6-5 with the remaining games being Cincinnati and Arizona and the Jets on the road. They stink all three. Buffalo.
I disagree about the Jets. I think the Jets could beat them. I think the Jets could beat them. I don't think that's a layup game.
What is here? I think you can count 7. I think you can count 6, 7, or 8 wins remaining on the schedule. I think this. It's very possible this team wins 9 games. Look, of course, the game with Baltimore and the 2 games with Cleveland are probably going to decide the season. If they were to go to 3-0 those games, they probably win the division. If they go 1-3, then they're not good. They're going to be picking. They're not going to be picking at all. But that'll be the other side. And there's his first pick here. As Duck does go downfield with 10 minutes to go in the game, throws it deep down the middle and gets picked off.
That's not a good throw. Holton didn't exactly bathe himself in glory coming back for that ball, did he?
No.
And that's not exactly helping your guy out. But Granted, I think that's a tough defender to feel coming, up from the backside of the play and getting into the play.
So Carroll, who's joined us on a couple shows, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing Karyl right, but let's assume it's a European spelling of Carroll or Carl. You can't start a UDA over a pedigreed pick. This is a common conversation, I think, around that. And for rightfully so, a UDFA or a 7th round pick has to do more to outshine a young guy, but only to a point. I mean, once you establish any credibility, then that conversation's done. And Duck obviously hasn't done that yet. And I don't think he'll probably get the chance. I would assume Rudolph's going to be the guy. But it is interesting to hear people who spend a lot of time at camp and just talk about results-based performance at camp. Clearly, Hodges was as good as, if not better than Rudolph.
I think the thing with Hodges is can spin it. The teammates praised him. It was the classic. If he wasn't 5'11" from an FCS school, he's probably not a UDFA and probably not in that situation. But I'll go with Carol's point there, or Carl. We can't decide. I think not playing Rudolph over Hodges is more of a commentary on maybe did we screw it up with Rudolph?
Yeah,
because if you play Hodges, I don't think it. I think it's one of those ones where people assume the negative rather than like give Hodges benefit of the doubt. If he were to play pretty well and get the job, they'd say, "Man, the Steelers really must have booted that pick," like Roethlisberger infamously said when they actually made the pick of Rudolph. People would be wondering that. Why aren't you starting the guy you had a first-round grade on? You gave up on him after a couple of games. What's going on with that?
Yeah, I actually don't. Honestly, I don't think it'll be a conversation. Assuming he's healthy, I'm sure Rudolph gets to start. And it'll be interesting to see because if the defense plays like this, Chris, I think they could put you or Filipponi out there and the Steelers would win football games because the defense to me looks fantastic right now.
What was the biggest difference for you? I can't even pick a guy on that defense. This felt like a true cohesive effort from them from start to finish just about in this game of making Rivers' life miserable. I thought they did a pretty good job of limiting big plays. There was a couple matchups where you could tell he got what he wanted, but they've just been disruptive across the board.
Well, absolutely. Look, we've really seen it from the front 7. Obviously, TJ's been a star all year long. The front 3 have been really good, but I think Alvin's had a fine season so far. Look, maybe not a $9 million season. I can't believe Edmonds let him actually get past him on this ball. But what I was just going to say, they just highlighted on the broadcast the fact that they played the two safeties deep in the middle of the field, and so you haven't seen a lot of Minkah. But I do think that Minkah's been a huge difference maker in this defense. And if Edmonds can up his game a little bit with the way Steve Nelson's played and Hayden on the outside, and then the production they've gotten out of Sutton and Mike Hilton in limited minutes, limited snaps is really good because that was the concern coming into the season. Again, it was is Dupree going to be sufficient? How quickly is Devin Bush going to be good? And then are those guys in the back end capable? And
now
the ultimate question has been yes.
Now
right?
The question becomes how hurt is Stephon Tuitt because their depth will be tested badly. I think he was their best defensive player for a couple of games early in the season, or maybe seemingly the most disruptive guy consistently in the backfield.
I think that's fair. I mean, he's been really good, and so the question is, I think Alualu is okay, but will you see a lot of two down lineman situations. Well, they still do find room in the middle of the field against the Steelers defense. I mean, it is
I would
crazy.
imagine that's by design. That I think the clock. This is definitely getting to clock is your friend territory, but it's my least favorite thing in the NFL, which is we're going to give them
taking chunks of 8 and 10.
That clock is your best friend thing isn't that great when you've only killed a minute on this drive and they've already gone 30 yards down the field.
Right. And he took a shot deep where actually got behind Edmonds. So Big Dan McCullers getting some burn. He caused a penalty and he just knocked one down there. He caused that intentional grounding penalty.
That's what I'm talking about with depth, though. Is this is one game? You hope you're going to get it again. If Tuitt is out for any protracted period of time, Alualu's pedigree, you hope, kind of wins out. The fact that the guy was a first-round pick, even if he was thought of as a reach, and then anything you get from McCullers is gravy, which is a very specific choice of words with him.
Yeah, well, I'll be honest with you. Isaiah Buggs, I guess, looked very good in camp, but I couldn't tell you anything about him. So,
here's another thing I want to point out that I think has been extremely impressive in this game, and maybe the single most impressive thing defensively. The Steelers and Mike Tomlin and Keith Butler have managed to successfully hide now for almost 51 full minutes.
Already not that bad.
But no, I mean, he is, though, or else they would have put him out on the field for more than 2 defensive snaps before this game. But they have generally hid him successfully for the entire game.
Well, it was interesting to see how they moved him around when we saw that play with the both Hilton and Hayden jumping a route, and it was on where you thought Burns would be on that Steelers right side of their defense.
Yep, I think that they have.
TJ Watt's just an animal.
Well, it's finally some of these picks coming home to roost, and I think there's some – you're about to see the Chargers school of tackling by the Steelers.
Oh. Yeah, that wasn't so good. Bud fell down or got somehow underneath somebody and 2 broke.
Well, they are on a soccer pitch technically, so there could be some diving here.
So let's talk about I want to talk a little bit about the offense. And well, first of all, let me take you through this because I was talking about this earlier in the day. So if it goes Miami, Indy, Rams, Cleveland, Cincinnati, Cleveland, Arizona, Buffalo, Jets, Baltimore. I mean, who's the best team on that schedule?
You would think, at least I would think, that Indy maybe by pedigree because they've had some big wins. They go and beat Kansas City. But when I look at that schedule, you know what I see is a bunch of flawed teams. And I can't look at any one of them and not pick out things about them. Indy losing at home to the Raiders is a terrible loss, although the Raiders look like they're a little better than advertised. The Browns, we know, are kind of a mess. Nothing the Ravens did. I mean, Jackson had a big statistical game, but 23-17 over the Bengals is not all that impressive, at least for me. I don't know about you. So I start to look at this, and I see a bunch of pretty flawed football teams. Maybe Indy's the best, but I don't think they're infallible. A team that might give the Steelers problems just with the strength of their defense, Buffalo. But, I mean, your point's well taken. The Rams on paper should be the best, but they obviously are searching.
Yeah.
I mean, Goff.
It would be fun weeks from now seeing, assuming this, whatever happens with Tuitt, seeing that Indy O-line against the Steelers defense, because that's a really good offensive line. And, Jacoby Brissett, he's, not all bad.
Well, I mean, okay, so you say really good offensive line, and like Quentin Nelson had the big feature piece written about him and what an attitude he's got and everything else. But the Raiders aren't known for having a very good defensive front.
Well, right. I mean, look, who knows
That's
what
my point.
Who's the biggest surprise so far this year on the upside? I don't know that the Bills are a surprise because I don't know who they are, but the fact that the Raiders are winning any games, I think is probably, to me, I mean, we have surprises on the downside for sure. The Rams, the Eagles, the Falcons. I mean, these teams have been, that's embarrassingly bad by what we expected. That's a really good play there by Cam Sutton.
Yes, it is. It was, and you know what? He had position. I think a lot of the few Chargers fans in attendance were looking for the flag, but I thought that was great coverage.
It might have been offensive pass interference. I thought, I'd love to. I'm watching the slow mo now, but
He had Williams' left arm hooked a little bit, but he had body position there. That's just good defense.
Yeah, solid.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of disappointing teams out there for sure. The Falcons should fire Dan Quinn at some point soon here, I would think. But I have a hard time making heads or tails of what like the Raiders are, what the Bills are.
Oh, he got him down. That's a touch. I think he's in. I
thought he was in.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah, that's right. Hunter Henry's really good.
That is very close.
Clearly got a second foot in. It's not exactly a great field design there to have green on green.
You said clearly, and that is close.
Yeah, it is.
That
really
is very close.
It might be tough to overturn if that's. But look how the line bleeds. You know, I mean, I think we can tell where the white line is. But what is that green? What is the difference there? Why do they have a?
I think that's out of bounds. I think that toe comes out of bounds. I don't think they'll overturn it, but I don't think
what is the light green line between the field and the end zone? What is that? That's the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
I mean, isn't that the NFL in a nutshell, honestly? Now, see, this is what I hate. Now it's 24-10, and I mean, the game still feels pretty much in hand. The Steelers are going to run some clock here. If they get like 2 first downs, the game is functionally over. But the defense has been having their way all game long. And they go. I hate that they go conservative here and let a guy like Rivers get it going a little bit even.
I'm with you. There was a game in Pittsburgh when Dick LeBeau was still the defensive coordinator where Rivers just torched them all day long because they were playing off him, and he just had his way, just throwing 7-yard outs for as long as he wanted. Yeah, so you'd like to see us put together a little bit of a drive and maybe get some pressure on the quarterback on the defensive side of the ball.
I'll tell you what, I think Duck throwing that interception on the last drive, though, pretty much sealed his fate as far as being a 1-week starter. He'll get the win, and the story will be the defense and the running game, and Duck generally kind of holding the fort. But I think that's going to be his only start of the year.
Okay, defensive tackling seems to have dropped off from Cooper. Jeffrey, lots of mixed tackles this drive. Danny can't believe there was no flag there. It's a TD. No flag where? On Cam Sutton, I guess. By the way, you can hit the join us live button in the upper right hand corner. Get your mug on here with Chris and myself as we count down the last 8 minutes of what looks to be the Steelers' second win of the season. I kind of put this one in the bank at 24-0, and the Chargers have taken a couple drives. Now, you wonder if, is it more interesting now, Chris, that they kicked the field goal and it's 10 because if it were 24, I guess it could be 8.
You'd be looking at a 3-possession game, and I understand that, but I mean, I still would have. You can't assume an interception coming back the other way, and then let me put it this way: they still had to go down the field. It still ran about 3.5 minutes off the clock, so they're not theoretically going to get the ball back if the Steelers keep the ball in the field of play until there's about 4.5 minutes left.
Steelers win probability over under 95%.
It's got to be over, right?
I got to think it's 96, 97 right now. Yeah. Although I guess somebody won today with a very early on a 7% win probability. Maybe it was the Texans.
It had to be the Texans down to that team in that building because obviously win probability takes into account where you're playing and who you're playing.
Yeah.
Boy, that it's funny. You talk about disappointments. Don't we count the Chiefs with 2 straight home losses as a disappointment right now at 4-2 in a way?
For sure. I mean, and I think that is the point. 2 straight home losses. Look, they're showing the NFC East standings, the division that I always think is consistently the most overrated coming into every season. And I expected the Eagles to be good. So I've been wrong about that. Dallas doesn't surprise me that much.
Washington's a dumpster fire. I mean,
what's going on with the Eagles? You watch
I
one
mean,
today?
can't defend the pass. We always get mad here about, oh God, the Steelers are terrible against the pass. This is horrible. The Eagles can't defend the pass to save their lives, man. I mean,
Baker Mayfield.
They are an atrocity. I don't want to see Mayfield doing these gardening commercials. Play a game with less than 3 interceptions and then get back to me. I mean, like, I look at that Ryan Switzer kick return, by the way, and I know that that's what you want him to do in the situation because you have to be guarding for the onside kick. But, man, him just taking the ball and running out of bounds is such a metaphor.
For what?
For just, like, everything he is as a player, is this super risk-averse guy.
Well, yeah, 24-10. So Benny Snell is high on the enthusiasm. Did you see the first carry he got where the guy held his leg for a little while and he almost
he was kicking. If he has any kind of breakaway speed, that might be a touchdown, by the way. Not to be critical here, because that was a great run. I mean, he hit the hole aggressively, but then when he tried to turn the ball outside, it was like watching a guy run.
How about Matt Filer just cleaning out the defensive line?
This has been a big game for that offensive line, a needed game too.
Yeah, and that's I'm sure everybody knows this, but now see, this is one thing I would actually criticize Ben for in situations where and you'll see this in college games, you'll see some pro games all the time. They will have a situation like this with 9 minutes left, and look, we saw it in the Super Bowl with the Falcons and the Patriots. Guys are snapping the ball with 15 seconds left on the play clock.
There's no reason.
Matt Ryan was a complete idiot in that game. And Duck, one of these things. If you're able to do the things Duck has done, you better every single little detail you better get right.
You know who gets it right every time?
Take this down to 3.
Brady. Brady gets it right every single time with stuff like that. And now, as a result, they're going to be able to run this thing down. Even I'm assuming they keep it on the ground here. That would seem like the prudent course.
Right, get you inside 4 minutes.
They're going to be they're going to give this ball back as a 2-3 game at about 4:20.
Yeah.
Roughly. I mean, it's just smart football. It's devil in the details football, but that's the difference between giving the ball back at 4:20 and maybe 5:10.
So give me a roll call here. I want our listeners, we've got about 15 that we've heard some so far. How many wins the Steelers finished the season with? I'm sticking. Look, I was 9 at the beginning of the season. I've never gone below 8. I'm back up at 9. I think this team's winning 9 games. What do you got?
Oh, you want me to give it first in the roll call?
Well, you can.
I'll start it with. I'll go with 7, which was my original prediction with Ben in there because I think the defense is playing a lot better. But I'm going to stick with 7 and 9. There's going to be still a bad loss in there that leaves a bad taste in people's mouths. So I'll say 7. I'll be the pessimist.
Can you imagine, Chris, if candy and nuts, but Juju doesn't fumble that ball, Boswell kicks a game-winning field goal. They're 3-3 in the division with 3-3 and 2-0 in the division, and ahead of the tie with the Ravens, but winning a head-to-head with the Ravens 0-2 in the division or 1-2, whatever they are. I mean, you just like a singular play like that, and the feeling around the team is so significantly different. So one of the things when we talk about these things, you try not to let one play determine how you view kind of their overall success, but it did. I mean, the fumble mattered. It happened. That's the way it is. It's the reality of it.
I mean, it's an enormously consequential play in their season. How do you not look at it like that, right? I mean, it's the play of the season in a bad way, just like what he did against New Orleans, and that was easy to identify because it was in the second to last week of the season. But him fumbling that ball transformed the tenor of everything. Who knows? I mean, if they're 2-3 going into this game, maybe they don't deliver the same kind of desperate performance, but there's that. Does Connor not fumble against San Francisco? Do they find a way to hold on to that one? Yeah. I mean, they're not all that far away from being a team that is that's 4-2.
Carroll's got 7, JT's got 8, Danny's got 8, 7-1. For all the crap Holton gets, that was big. Yeah, Johnny Holton's the 53rd guy on the roster. I mean, I don't think anybody's got high expectations for Johnny Holton.
The Steelers did. That's why they gave away Tuzar Skipper so that they could try to surprise New England in Week 1 with a Johnny Holton deep shot.
I don't think the Tuzar Skipper love was a lot like the kid from Miami the year before who ended up.
I think he's got a forced fumble already for them this year.
Who was the guy from Miami that the Steelers got as an undrafted free agent? He made the roster. Everybody's like, he's going to be the inside linebacker. And week 6.
Matthew Thomas.
Matthew Thomas. Nice work on that. Nice work on the UDFA who got a little pub and nobody's talked about since week 6 when it got cut last year.
I relate to the UDFAs that get no pub and eventually get cut. By the way, speaking of, Duck Hodge is about to join as long as the Steelers don't have a complete collapse here. I believe he'll be either the 3rd or the 4th quarterback of all time. I think 4th, actually. Max Hall in 2010, Matt McGloin in 2013, and Kyle Allen last year, undrafted free agents to win their first career NFL start.
Really? Is that so? The only reason I'm asking that question is I saw some ridiculous stat this afternoon that said, I thought it said, because it was Carolina was playing in London, right, with Tampa?
Yep.
So I think it was related to Kyle Allen, and they talked about UDFAs winning most games won from the start of their career, and Mike Tomczak was 10-0.
Really?
Again, I saw a flashing screenshot, and I made a point of saying, "Look at that stat, Tomczak 10-0."
It might be
for me. Anybody see that? Any of our folks on the fan cred line with us see that stat this morning in the early game?
Any of you degenerates up watching that London football game? Come on, admit it.
Land. Jameis 6 turnovers today. There we go. Oh, you got to catch that, Minka.
Yeah, that would have been the game right there. I hope we don't have a Shades of Joe Burnett repeat here. Sorry to bring it negative.
Okay, I was at that game, Joe Burnett. Oakland, but no, it's Oakland or was it Oakland?
Yeah, it was Oakland, right through the wickets. I think
Week 14 or 15, way back when.
Oh. Bless his heart, he's got to be the sickest man in America.
Yeah. Were you alive when that happened?
No. I started it. I think the Bears, the 85 Bears won the Super Bowl the first year or something. Or no, that was the 85 season. So that would have been the second. Yeah, that would have been the first Super Bowl I was alive for, I guess.
Kim Kelly, man, he's an excitable guy too. He and
I'll tolerate or not tolerate it, but I'm cool with the excitement and some of the not you don't want the
young guy
but when they're holding the team to 10 points and it looks like they're gonna kind of comfortably ease into the victory here.
Yeah, it'd be nice if they got out of this. I was thinking it would be nice if they these defensive linemen are good God. Now, see, that's the kind of crap that just drive. How do you have a 40-yard completion with 3 minutes to go up 14?
And it looked like Rivers just chucked the ball up there too.
Yeah, he did.
Hilton's on him in the slot. Just a total busted coverage. I don't know what Hilton's doing there. If Bush is supposed to run with him or what. See, this is what they've done really quickly here, because I'm a couple seconds in. This is what they have done very well, which is
wrap up the
tacklers, but force Phillip Rivers to get rid of the ball underneath quickly to guys who are pretty well covered. Like there just hasn't been Mount McCullers, Big Dan gets a legal use of hands, but they've largely made Phillip Rivers dump the ball off quickly and made him uncomfortable.
What is illegal use of hands? 5 yards. So was it 15 or they didn't call a personal foul, did they?
No, just legal use of hands. I would imagine hands to the face.
But I thought that was an automatic 15 personal foul.
I don't think that's a 15.
Okay.
Look that one up. Consult the NFL rule book.
You just can't get beat for a freaking 30-yard pass down the middle of the field, and when you're up 14 with 4 minutes to go, it's ridiculous. That's the kind of crap that, look, it's
another nice play here by Cam Sutton, by the way.
Yep. That is a good play by Cam Sutton, 2 of them. Where the hell are the safeties?
I don't know. It's a good question.
Obviously, they're playing some man coverage there, but I can assume that it's at least a single high, and
Yeah, Minka's up the field there. You can see that's a great play by Cam Sutton because that ball was going to be a catch.
Yeah, what's Minka looking for? Is he looking for the tight end? That's good. It's a really good play. That's a good throw by Phillip Rivers too. Can't throw it out much further.
You know what I'll point out? That reminds me of something that New England's defensive backs always get praised for is specifically never like they'll wait till a catch might be made if they're beat, and then they try to punch right through that ball to cause incompletions. And that was a play reminiscent of that.
What's up, Chef? Joining us on the Squawk Box down there from Connecticut. A nice, tasty 24-0 lead. It's not an untasty 24-10 lead, but I hate to see kind of some of the bigger plays against the Steeler defense that was so dominant for 50 minutes of this game. They get a lot of guys up around the line of scrimmage here, which we have no philosophy. Like, are you giving them the 8-yarder? Oh, that's twice, Devin. Good job running them down, keeping them in bounds.
I was going to say that's a win play for me if I'm a Steelers fan because it keeps Eckler in bounds. I'm sure Rivers throws that with the hope that he'll not only win the one-on-one battle there, but get out of bounds. And nope, forces them into a tough spot again.
That's a good play by Rivers to hit the safety valve because he really doesn't have a lot of time there. All right, so this is going to take us to the 2-minute warning. They convert another third down. So, So, Chris, let's get into another. Louis said, as I said last week, Sutton plays well. How already plays more than Sutton is questionable. Yeah, I'm with you.
I think Sutton should be if Steven Nelson can't go again for whatever reason, if his injury lingers through the bye week, which would be a pretty severe injury at that point. To me, Sutton's the guy opposite Hayden.
Yeah, he's shown that. Look, he's shown that he can play man. And a couple of plays there.
I mean, he looks like a confident guy out there who expects to make plays.
Yeah, and if you're he's a third-round pick out of Tennessee, I think he was third round 2 years ago. So if in your third year with the questions the Steelers have had defensively and trying to get Phil Rolls, if it was a do or die for me for Cam Sutton this year. Like, is he going to take a step forward and be part of this, or they'll just keep churning guys until they find guys who can step in and play? Because Mike Hilton has been a very useful find, but the Steelers obviously don't love him, even though I think he does some things very well. And so Sutton gets more limited.
He's a limited player. I mean, he's a great limited.
I agree. I mean, he's shown he could be a really good blitzer, but that cat's out of the bag a little bit when you're.
Well, the other thing too is what do they need more? A guy who can cover in their defensive backfield, or a great blitzer? They have a pretty good pass rush right now. All things actually an excellent one. So.
Yeah, they do.
So I want the guy that can cover, and he's showing some actual skills on the ball.
Okay, so let's ask another poll question here. Chris, this NFL onside kick thing is just ridiculous because you can't recover an onside kick now. It's impossible. You used to be about like 16 to 19% of onside kicks were recovered. Now it's 0 so far this year. What would you say to the team trying to keep the ball, being able to run a play 4th and 15?
I mean, I think that's the key to that is having the right yardage, right? So 4th and 15, you want to go, you know what you want to do? You want to get a yardage for this hypothetical replacement of onside kicks. You said it was 16 to 19% would get recovered.
Yeah.
Go find a success rate for
I think that's a reasonable one.
A yardage play, and then make that like it could be 4th and 13. It could be like an oddball number.
Yep.
But
I agree. It doesn't have to be standardized.
Do you know what I actually like as a proposal? I think the Ravens do it every year because they know Tucker could do it. You kick the ball off deep, and if you hit any part of the upright with the kickoff, like basically you're aiming to try to hit the upright,
right?
You get the ball back.
You get the ball back?
I love it. It's their like Justin Tucker's awesome proposal, like because they know Tucker's good enough that probably 1 out of every 5 times he could actually do it.
Yeah, I thought you were going to give me a CFL or a rugby thing, like you get a point.
I like that rule too. I like making 9-point games 1-score games. Go for 2, get the 2, kick it through the uprights from 5 yards further back than normal. Boom, 9-point possession.
This is that'll change the roster composition. By the way, this is exactly the right thing for the Chargers to do. They don't need to use timeouts here. They're gonna save those for. I mean, Rivers can get his guys. Oh my God, what a shit show this has been! What a shit show.
See,
Seriously.
this is what I hate, because now this game, assuming the Steelers hang on, is going to leave me with a very bad taste in my mouth.
100% agree.
I'm going to say, what was so different that you had to play this sort of soft zone defense and give Phillip Rivers all day to throw the ball? I mean, it's a very risk-averse, just very conservative approach. That what bothers me is that it is completely out of line with what they were doing earlier in the game. Completely. So now you're honestly you're putting it in Hodges' hands where he's got to get a first down.
I mean, it's incredible that this is where they are. I mean,
because if you're the Chargers, you can even give it a shot at kicking it deep here because you've got all three of your timeouts. So
yeah, why not? Yeah.
It's a little dicey on the yardage. You're probably going to get the ball back, but better that than having to go the whole distance of the field. If you onside kick it, the Steelers recover, and then
yeah. I guess what would I do here? I think I would after what the Steelers did last time. I think I would look. I think the Steelers are going to run the ball 3 times. I would kick it deep if I were Anthony Lynn.
I would too. I mean, I just think that that's your best field position play. And if the Steelers run it 3 times, guess what? You're going to get the ball back with about a minute left, possibly only needing to go 55, 60 yards with a guy that's a borderline Hall of Famer. I mean, that's what I would do.
So thinking about what you would do, do you give Randy, if you're Randy, do you run play action on first or second down?
Boy, oh boy.
And they did do the onside kick, and Cam Sutton makes another play for the Steelers.
Boy, that looked like.
A question for you. You know what they do in rugby games? You know how they hoist guys?
Yes.
There's nothing in the rule books about saying if the Steelers had 3 guys there and they hoisted. I mean, it would be, your guy in a rugby game, you're trying to throw it to the guy you're going to hoist, so you know what's up. So this is virtually impossible to get the timing and sequencing of this right. But hypothetically, it would not be illegal, right?
I mean, hypothetically, I don't think it would be. But asking the Steelers to execute a play like that should be illegal.
Well, what if the Chargers did it, running down and 3 guys, and then you just threw a guy up in the air?
Frankly, the way they've executed, I wouldn't want it to be legal either.
Yeah, I'm just checking on legality. But, okay, now it's a little different here for the Steelers being on the 45-yard line because interesting play to run. I think that's the first time I've seen DeCastro pull like that tonight. I'm sure he's pulled inside, but pulling outside like that.
Well, the good thing about getting that kick now is even if you can't run clock and get the first down to ice this thing completely, you're going to force Phillip Rivers to go probably, if Barry does his job, 85 to 90 yards with no timeouts. I mean, that even for that for Tom Brady is a tall order. Let's put it that way.
By the way, that was a good onside kick there.
It was an excellent kick. And I give Sutton credit. He high-pointed the football, but he exposed himself badly to contact there.
Yeah, and he almost landed on his head too. Now, I'm assuming James Conner is not injured.
Do you think the same thing? Because
do you think there's anything here with the fact that he's fumbled late in games, or that these are tough yards between the tackle? Because it's a little bit
between the tackles guy. I'm baffled by this. If it is a concern about him fumbling, that says a lot to me. And Snell has that bad boy wrapped up tightly. So leave it to the Steelers to make what should have been a breezy blowout interesting.
Right. We got a couple issues to talk about. That should definitely be, everybody's listening to who's getting into the press conference tonight, that should definitely be one of the questions about why was Benny Snell in there and giving the ball on the last series? Was James? Oh my God, what a call! There's your call. He's a foot short. He had a chance there. That's been there all game.
Well, Collinsworth's talking about going for it now. Would you?
I want to see a measurement. I'm not kicking a field goal.
No, it's either punt or go.
54-yard field goal. I don't think I'd be kicking a 48-yard field goal.
I'd let the
I'm all in on Boz. They should ask for a measurement. Or the Steelers should use their timeout is what they should do.
That's what I would be. I'm assuming that they're going to.
It is amazing that we're actually having this conversation. We're having a conversation about the game.
For a coach who loves to say we don't live in our fears, it's amazing that fear suddenly creeps in when they're up 24-0. I want to see where this ball is. It's a legit full yard.
Yeah, they still haven't shown us. Yeah, you got it. Yep.
Sorry, I keep forgetting I'm 8 seconds ahead of you.
Yeah, so 36-yard. So, guys, what are you doing? What's the team doing here? You guys punting or you guys
I'm going for it.
You know what? I'd think I'd be a candy ass on this one and punt, but generally, and other times in the game.
Yeah. Oh boy. You are going to be very happy with what happens.
Oh, he might have got that out of bounds. He might have been able to I wonder if that would have gone out of bounds. But there you go, 99 yards, no timeouts, minute left. So minute 3. So, I assume it's over, but good God.
Well, this was just if I were in that post-game scrum, I would be asking Mike Tomlin, what is the real thinking behind completely taking your foot off the defensive gas pedal? I think it's human nature for these defensive players to feed into that and to not bring the goods, basically, for lack of a better term.
Connor was
on the bench, by the way.
What's that?
TJ Watt on the bench. Did I miss something there? Gassed out, it looks like.
Mike Hilton trying to make the over-the-shoulder grab, man.
That shades of Willie Mays.
That was going to be something special. I don't know what TJ. He could be gassed. These guys, a couple of guys in the feed are saying, but what if he bounces that up into the Charger receivers?
That's what I immediately thought of.
I guess Connor was limping a little bit.
Larry Fitzgerald, by the way, would have made that catch.
Danny Smith MVP. Joey says Danny Smith MVP. That's the first time. Those all words used together. So NBC needs to stop with that color of that line being so close to the color of the field, and they're there you go. There's our boy Cam Sutton. Take it home.
What do you think of him trying to take it back and clearly get 6 there?
Hell yeah! You don't get many chances.
If he fumbles though and something crazy happens, he never hears the end of it.
Absolutely.
But he played a whale. He honestly played a whale of a game, I thought.
Yeah, big fourth quarter for Cam Sutton.
Here's a quick thought, real fast here before we sign off. They had a very physical, nasty practice that really seemed to divide Hayward and Foster in the offense and defense, and it was directed at Connor and Juju. And Connor was the recipient of the first hit, and he really played a heck of a football game. I don't know. It looks like it's a few good men, and Tomlin ordered the code red because he felt like he needed it, and it looked like it definitely, and it didn't look like it definitely worked for this team.
Well, interesting. Look, the guys have been taking an interesting call by Randy on third down there. Look, the Steelers defense obviously had a good plan, and they were the better team. Just it is disappointing to see what kind of how the fourth quarter unfolded when 24-0. Who's Rivers?
What is Rivers doing there?
He's got Mike Hilton.
Got him by the jersey, walking him like he's his dad. Like he caught him bumming cigarettes or something like that. Shoplifting. What was that? Dad gummit. Come here, Mike. Dad gummit.
Maybe they got a little blocking him on the Rivers is walking off the field already, I think.
Well, Duck Hodges survives, and so do the Steelers.
Well, Chris, we get a week without each other, and I'm going over to merry old England.
Oh, yeah?
Next weekend.
Okay.
kept catching a couple soccer matches while the Steelers are off. So we'll get back at it. We get another night game coming up with the Dolphins, don't we?
Yes, we do. I bet ESPN wishes they could take that one back.
Yes, I'm sure they do.
I don't know what they expected they were going to get there.
Okay, final thoughts on this. Is the biggest question Stephon Tuitt's health? Is that the biggest thing coming out of this game?
Stephon Tuitt's health, and I don't think it's a question. I think Mason Rudolph's the guy. But you know what? The end story here, Steelers season not looking great still on life support, but better than it did 3.5 hours ago.
Yeah, and you're right. It's just it's really the feeling was so good when we got on the air, and it's not quite as good now. But having said that, they went to the West Coast and got a pretty convincing win. And like you said, we'll see what's up with Tuitt. But man, enjoy the next 2 weeks, and I'll catch you on now. We got a Monday nighter, so I'll see you in 15 days.
Cool. Thanks for watching, guys.
Thanks for being with us on FanCred. Check out Chris and Pony on the PM team on the Fan from 2 to 6 weekdays. We'll see you.
See you.